The last human warship, Defiance, shuddered as another blast from the Vorn cruiser struck its failing shields. On the command deck, Admiral James Walker gripped the railing, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lights. Beyond the viewscreen, the remains of humanity's final defense fleet drifted like broken toys above the red surface of Mars. "Shields at 12%, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Davis, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Engine cores 2 and 3 are offline." Walker nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive Vorn flagship that loomed against the stars. The war had lasted 10 years, but everyone knew this was the end. Earth had fallen 3 months ago, its once great cities now smoking ruins. The colonies on Luna, Venus, and the moons of Jupiter had surrendered one by one. "Open a secure channel to the emergency frequencies," Walker ordered, moving to a small terminal away from the main command console. "Sir?" Davis looked confused. Who would be listening? "We're the last ship." "Just do it, Lieutenant." As Davis worked, Walker pulled a small data key from around his neck. The ship rocked again as another blast hit, throwing crew members to the floor. A support beam crashed down near the tactical station, pinning an officer beneath it. "Channel open, sir," Davis called, helping the injured officer. Walker inserted the key into the terminal, entering a rapid sequence of commands. The screen flickered, showing a string of coordinates, locations far beyond the known human settlements. "Transmitting Operation Lazarus," Walker said quietly, his fingers moving quickly across the console. "Authorization Walker 7, Delta 9 Echo." The terminal beeped as it sent the seemingly random code sequence to the unmapped coordinates. Walker removed the key and crushed it under his boot. On the main view screen, 3 more Vorn battleships appeared, moving to surround the Defiance. They were massive, their hulls covered in biomechanical armor that seemed to pulse with an inner light. The sight had terrified human forces when the Vorn first appeared in Earth's solar system a decade ago. "Sir, we're being hailed by the Vorn flagship," Davis said. Walker straightened his uniform and nodded. "Put them through." The screen shifted to show the alien face of Emperor Krath. The Vorn leader's skin was pale blue, with ridge-like structures framing his hairless head. His 4 eyes, 2 large primary ones, and 2 smaller secondary eyes above them, stared coldly at Walker. "Admiral Walker," Krath said, his voice translated by the ship's computer, "your resistance has been impressive but pointless. Surrender your vessel, and your crew will be spared." "We both know that's a lie, Emperor," Walker replied calmly. "The Vorn don't take prisoners." Krath's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile, perhaps not normally. "But you, Admiral, have earned special consideration. There are questions about your activities in the final days of this war." Behind the Emperor, Walker could see another Vorn, military advisor Dorn. According to intelligence reports, Dorn leaned forward to whisper something to his Emperor. "Your transmissions have been detected, Admiral," Krath continued. "Whatever messages you hope to send to non-existent allies are futile. Humanity is finished." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "If you say so, Emperor." Krath's eyes narrowed. "Prepare to be boarded." The transmission cut off. Walker turned to his crew, who looked to him for final orders. "It's been an honor serving with all of you," he said. "But this isn't over yet." Davis stepped forward. "Sir, what was that transmission? What's Operation Lazarus?" "Hope, Lieutenant," Walker answered. "Now, initiate self-destruct sequences for all data cores. Nothing falls into Vorn hands." As the crew rushed to their final duties, Walker moved to the view screen, watching as Vorn boarding shuttles approached. He knew they would try to capture him alive. Intelligence was the Vorn's most valued resource, and they suspected humanity had secrets still hidden. They were right. In the darkness of space, far beyond the battle, Walker's transmission reached its destination. Inside hollowed asteroids and hidden bases scattered across distant star systems, computers hummed to life, beginning sequences programmed years ago. While the Vorn celebrated their victory and declared the human threat eliminated. Something was awakening in the darkness. Operation Lazarus had begun. Laura Reed kept her head down as the Vorn patrol marched through the marketplace on Europa. 5 years under alien rule had taught her the value of invisibility. She adjusted her worn gray work uniform, standard issue for human laborers, and continued arranging food packets at her assigned stall. ID check, announced the patrol leader, his translator device making his alien speech sound flat and mechanical. All humans present identification now. The marketplace froze as humans reached for their neck tags, metal discs containing biometric data and work assignments. Laura touched hers, feeling the small modification hidden inside that the Vorn scanners couldn't detect. A young man 2 stalls down fumbled his tag, hands shaking. The nearest Vorn soldier grabbed him roughly. Work status irregular, the soldier reported after scanning the tag. Possible resistance affiliation. The patrol leader moved closer. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign Laura had learned meant suspicion. The Vorn's blue skin seemed to darken slightly. "Take him for questioning," the leader ordered. As they dragged the man away, Laura forced herself to continue working. She had seen this scene dozens of times. The young man would likely never return to the colony. She memorized his face. One more name for her report. When the market closed at sundown, Laura walked through the human quarter, a crowded section of the colony with minimal heating and water rationing. Europa's massive Vorn administrative center loomed in the distance, its biomechanical architecture glowing with an eerie light against the black sky. She entered her small apartment and quickly swept it for new surveillance devices. Finding none, she moved to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and pried loose a panel behind the sink. From the hidden compartment, she removed a small communication device. "Nightingale reporting," she whispered after activating it. 2 more taken today. Mining production on Sector 7 increased by 30% after the new labor mandates. She continued her report, detailing Vorn troop movements and resource shipments she'd observed. 5 years working as a market vendor had positioned her perfectly to gather intelligence. The Vorn barely noticed humans in service positions, just another piece of conquered machinery. Most significant, she added, Admiral Walker is being transferred to Europa next week. The Vorn still haven't broken him. The device beeped softly, acknowledging her transmission. The scattered human resistance had maintained a fragile network across the occupied territories. Information was their only weapon now. Laura replaced the device and stepped into the shower. As the lukewarm water ran over her, she thought about Walker. Everyone knew his name, the last admiral of humanity's fleet. The Vorn had paraded his capture as a symbol of their absolute victory. Yet they kept him alive. 5 years of interrogation, and still they believed he held valuable information. The next morning, Laura received a new work assignment. Her vendor position had been upgraded to a cleaning detail at the administrative center. This wasn't luck. Her resistance handlers had arranged it, though she didn't know how. Inside the massive structure, she pushed her cleaning cart past rooms where Vorn officials discussed the continued exploitation of Earth's resources. She kept her eyes lowered, but her ears open. The mining operation on the human homeworld has uncovered another anomaly, one Vorn said as she wiped down a table near their meeting room. Production records from before the war suggest they developed technology we haven't found. The Emperor believes Walker knows where they hid it, another replied. The shipyard project that disappeared from their records 3 years before we attacked. Laura's hand trembled slightly, but she maintained her rhythm, moving on before they could notice her interest. Later that day, she glimpsed a secure area being prepared. Through the half-open door, she saw medical equipment being installed. Torture devices disguised as examination tables. This was where they would bring Walker. The Vorn were growing desperate for answers about something called the Shipyard Project. That night, Laura sent another transmission. They're still looking for something. Something big that humanity hid before the war. Admiral Walker has kept the secret for 5 years. As she replaced her communication device, a strange pulse of hope ran through her. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had hidden more than information. Perhaps there was something out there that even the Vorn feared. In her dreams that night, Laura saw ships rising from darkness, awakening from a long sleep. Tom Miller wiped the sweat from his brow as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel of Mining Station K-12, deep in the Kuiper Belt. The Vorn didn't like venturing into these cramped spaces, which made them perfect for the few humans permitted to work as maintenance engineers. "Miller, what's your status?" The harsh voice of Overseer Galt, his Vorn supervisor, crackled through his communicator. "Almost there, sir," Tom replied, keeping his voice neutral. "The power fluctuations should be coming from Junction Box 47B. Fix it quickly. Production quotas are already behind schedule." The communication cut off. Tom continued forward, his headlamp illuminating the dust-filled tunnel. The mining station extracted rare minerals from the icy bodies at the edge of the solar system, materials the Vorn needed for their biomechanical technology. Reaching the junction box, Tom opened the panel and pretended to examine the circuits while checking that no surveillance devices were active in this section. The Vorn believed he was Tom Miller, a simple engineer with no history of resistance activities. They had no reason to watch him closely. They were wrong. 5 years ago, before the final battle at Mars, he had been Captain Robert Hayes, commanding a stealth reconnaissance vessel. His appearance, DNA, and even his fingerprints had been altered through advanced genetic modification. He was one of dozens of sleeper agents placed throughout the solar system, waiting. Tom glanced at his watch, an ordinary-looking device that contained much more than timekeeping technology. The display showed a specific stellar alignment occurring. It was time. His head suddenly throbbed with pain as dormant neural programming activated in his brain. Memories locked away for years flooded back, along with the knowledge of what he needed to do. "Junction repaired," he reported through his communicator. "I need to check the backup systems in the auxiliary control room." "Standard procedure." "Make it quick," Galt replied. Tom made his way to the rarely used auxiliary control center. The small room contained outdated equipment the Vorn had never bothered to upgrade. Perfect for his needs. He locked the door and quickly moved to a specific panel in the wall. His fingers, moving with practiced precision he didn't know he possessed until this moment, removed the panel, revealing the hidden compartment behind it. Inside was a device no bigger than his palm. Tom activated it, watching as it projected a holographic interface only he could see through special contact lenses he'd been unknowingly wearing for years. "Initiating Operation Lazarus Phase 2, he whispered, entering a complex code. The device began broadcasting a signal, one that appeared to be nothing but background radiation to standard Vorn sensors. The signal contained compressed data packets that would travel along specific quantum pathways, invisible to conventional detection methods. As he worked, Tom's mind processed the activated memories. He now remembered the truth. Operation Lazarus had been humanity's final gambit. When it became clear the war against the Vorn could not be won conventionally, Earth's leaders had enacted a desperate plan. The best scientists, engineers, and a significant portion of military personnel had been secretly relocated to hidden facilities. The plans for these facilities and the advanced technology being developed there had been erased from all official records. The war that followed, the one in which Earth fell, had been fought by those who stayed behind, buying time and gathering intelligence on Vorn capabilities while appearing to use everything in humanity's arsenal. A noise in the corridor outside made Tom freeze. Footsteps approached the door. "Miller, why is this door locked?" Galt's voice called out. "Sorry, sir," Tom replied, quickly hiding the device, but leaving it active. "Safety protocol when working with the power systems. I'll be right out." He closed the panel and moved to the door, taking a deep breath before opening it. Galt stood there, his 4 eyes narrowing with suspicion. "What were you really doing in here?" the Vorn demanded. "Just what I said, sir. The backup power couplings needed recalibration after the fluctuations." Tom pointed to the legitimate work he had also completed as cover. Galt examined the equipment, then grunted what passed for acceptance. "Return to your regular duties." "Yes, sir." As Tom left the auxiliary control room, he felt the weight of his mission. The signal was now broadcasting continuously, aimed at 6 different locations hidden across nearby star systems. What would happen next, even his newly awakened memories couldn't tell him. He only knew his part: send the signal. That night, as the station's lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, Tom looked out a viewport at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, humanity's last hope was receiving his message. Operation Lazarus was entering its next phase. In the darkness between stars, something ancient and powerful stirred to life. Cold. That was Commander Alex Foster's first sensation as the cryopod systems began the revival process. Her lungs burned as they filled with air for the first time in 5 years. The pod's cover slid open with a soft hiss, and medical arms extended to check her vital signs. Identity confirmed. "Commander Alexandra Foster," announced a calm AI voice. "Welcome back, Commander. Revival sequence successful." Alex blinked, her eyes adjusting to the dim blue light. Her mind felt foggy, memories returning in fragments. She remembered the final days before Earth's fall, the secret orders, entering the cryopod, and then nothing. "Status report," she managed to say, her voice rough from disuse. "Operation Lazarus Phase 3 initiated," the AI responded. "Activation signal received 17 hours ago. Fleet awakening protocols in progress." The medical arms helped Alex sit up. Her muscles protested, weak from years of inactivity, despite the preservation chemicals. She looked around at the massive chamber containing thousands of cryopods, many now beginning their revival sequences. Soft blue lights activated above each pod as their occupants started to wake. "Show me our location," Alex ordered. A holographic display appeared before her. They were inside an asteroid in the Epsilon Eridani system, 12 light-years from Earth, one of 6 hidden locations she remembered now. 6 shipyards built in secret, disguised as mining operations, or hidden inside natural phenomena, where the Vorn would never think to look. Alex forced her legs to carry her to the command center adjacent to the cryobay. The doors slid open to reveal a bustling hub of activity. AI systems had already begun activating the facility, and other early revival personnel were at their stations. "Commander on deck," called out Lieutenant Mark Wilson, who had been awakened an hour earlier as part of the command sequence. "Status report," Alex ordered, moving to the central display table. "The shipyard is at 70% operational capacity," Wilson reported. "The fleet vessels are powering up as scheduled." Adaptive AI systems continued their development during dormancy, just as planned. The display showed the massive underground hangar carved into the asteroid's core. There, in neat rows, waited humanity's secret weapon, ships of a design the Vorn had never encountered, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from captured Vorn vessels, but enhanced with human innovations. "The Nemesis is ready for your inspection, Commander," Wilson added, gesturing to the largest vessel at the center of the hangar. Alex nodded, memories flooding back completely now. The Nemesis was the flagship of this hidden fleet, designed to lead the counterattack against the Vorn. While ordinary humans had fought and died in conventional ships during the war, these advanced vessels had been built in secret, their existence known only to a select few. "And the other facilities?" she asked. "All 6 shipyards report successful activation," Wilson confirmed. "Each is at a different stage of awakening based on their distance from the original signal, but all will be fully operational within 72 hours. Alex walked to the viewport overlooking the hangar. Below, the massive ships hummed with energy as they completed their startup sequences. The sight brought unexpected tears to her eyes. 5 years ago, humanity had appeared to lose everything. Their homeworld taken, their fleets destroyed, their people subjugated. But it had all been part of a greater strategy. What about Earth? Current status of Vorn occupation? A communications officer spoke up. Our long-range scans show heavy Vorn presence throughout the solar system. They've established their primary command center on Europa, with mining operations across all former human territories. And our sleeper agents. Limited communication established. Agent Miller successfully transmitted the activation signal. We have confirmation that 26 other agents are in position for coordinated action. Alex took a deep breath. Everything was proceeding according to plan. A plan set in motion years before the final battle at Mars. A plan that had required the ultimate sacrifice, allowing Earth to fall so that humanity could ultimately survive. Begin final preparations, she ordered. We strike in 24 hours. As more personnel awakened from cryosleep and took their stations, the hidden base transformed from a silent tomb into a hive of activity. Engineers ran diagnostics on ships that had been waiting in darkness for 5 years. Tactical officers updated their systems with data collected by sleeper agents. Medical teams treated revival complications. In the hangar, the Nemesis pulsed with power as its systems came fully online. Its sleek hull, designed to absorb and redirect energy rather than reflect it, would be nearly invisible to Vorn sensors. Its weapons incorporated weaknesses in Vorn technology that the earlier human forces had secretly identified, but never exploited. Alex stood before the viewport, watching her fleet come to life. "They thought we were defeated," she whispered. "They're about to learn how wrong they were." "All ships report ready, Commander," Lieutenant Wilson announced from his station on the Nemesis bridge. Commander Alex Foster nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Around her, the command crew worked with quiet efficiency, the culmination of years of specialized training before they entered cryosleep. The bridge hummed with tension as final preparations were completed. "Operation status?" she asked. "Synchronized attacks ready at all 6 targets," Wilson confirmed. "Primary objective: the Vorn detention facility on Europa, where Admiral Walker is being held." Alex studied the display showing their first targets. Key Vorn outposts carefully selected to maximize confusion while minimizing their ability to respond. The element of surprise would be their greatest advantage. "Send the go signal to all fleet elements," she ordered. "Execute jump in 3 minutes." Throughout the hidden shipyards, vessels moved into position. The technology that allowed these ships to travel through folded space had been humanity's most closely guarded secret, developed but never deployed during the war, ensuring the Vorn had no knowledge of its existence. On the Nemesis, Alex strapped herself into the command chair. "All hands, prepare for jump." The massive engines powered up, creating a controlled distortion in spacetime. Unlike conventional drives that pushed against reality, these engines briefly stepped outside it, allowing near instantaneous travel across vast distances. "Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute." The view screen flashed as reality twisted around them. For a heartbeat, the ship existed everywhere and nowhere. Then, with a surge of energy, the Nemesis and its escort vessels appeared in the Jupiter system, directly above Europa. "Arrival successful," the tactical officer reported. "Complete surprise achieved. Vorn defense systems still dormant." "Deploy stealth drones," Alex ordered. "Target their communication arrays first." Across the Jupiter system, similar scenes played out as the dormant fleet emerged from their hidden shipyards. Ships appeared above Vorn mining operations on Mars, supply depots near Venus, and command centers on Earth's moon. In each location, the human vessels struck with devastating precision before the Vorn could sound alarms. On Europa, the Nemesis launched precision strikes against Vorn defense systems. Missiles designed to penetrate the aliens' biomechanical shields found their targets with unerring accuracy. Within minutes, the moon's orbital defenses were disabled. "Landing craft ready," Wilson reported. "Launch the rescue team," Alex commanded. 3 sleek dropships detached from the Nemesis, racing toward the surface. Inside, the elite soldiers prepared for the mission they had trained for years ago. Retrieving Admiral Walker, the man who had sacrificed everything to give them this chance. Meanwhile, Across the occupied territories, sleeper agents activated simultaneously. Laura Reed moved through the human quarter on Europa, triggering disguised devices that caused critical Vorn systems to fail. Power grids fluctuated, security protocols malfunctioned, and automated defenses turned against their masters. In the Vorn detention facility, alarms blared as systems crashed. Admiral Walker, his body weakened from years of interrogation, looked up as the lights in his cell flickered and died. The force field containing him wavered and disappeared. Outside his cell, he heard the sounds of weapons fire and shouting. The door slid open, revealing a human soldier in advanced armor. "Admiral Walker," the soldier said, removing his helmet. "Captain Ben Rogers, Operation Lazarus Rescue Team. We've come to bring you home, sir." Walker stared in disbelief. "It worked?" The signal was received. "Yes, sir. Commander Foster sends her regards." Walker felt tears forming in his eyes. For 5 years, he had endured torture and questioning, feeding the Vorn false information while never revealing the truth about Operation Lazarus. He had almost started to believe the plan had failed. "We need to move quickly, sir," Rogers said, helping the Admiral to his feet. "Our window is narrow." As they moved through the facility, Walker saw the effectiveness of the surprise attack. Vorn guards lay stunned or dead, overwhelmed by weapons they had never encountered before. Human prisoners were being freed, many looking shocked at their sudden rescue. Outside the facility, the dropships waited, protected by soldiers using shields that absorbed Vorn energy weapons. As Walker was helped aboard, he caught sight of the Nemesis hanging in space above them, its hull gleaming in Jupiter's reflected light. In the Vorn command center, Emperor Krath received the shocking reports from across the system. His forces, believed invincible for 5 years, were under attack from an enemy he had declared extinct. "Impossible," he hissed, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. "Their fleet was destroyed. We watched their homeworld burn." Military advisor Dorn studied the incoming data with growing horror. "These aren't the ships we fought before. This is technology we've never seen." On the dropship returning to the Nemesis, Admiral Walker watched through a viewport as more human ships appeared above Europa. 5 years of planning, of sacrifice, of waiting in the darkness. It had all led to this moment. "They thought we were defeated," he whispered, echoing Commander Foster's words light years away. "They never understood humanity at all." Emperor Krath stood motionless before the massive viewscreen in the Vorn command center as reports of devastation poured in from across the former human territories. His blue skin had paled to an ashen gray, a sign of extreme distress among his species. "This is impossible," he whispered, watching as another Vorn battle cruiser erupted into flames above the rings of Satron. "We destroyed their fleet. We conquered their world." Military advisor Dorn approached cautiously, holding a data tablet. "Emperor, we have analyzed the human vessels. They are unlike anything we encountered during the war." "Explain," Kraft demanded, his 4 eyes narrowing. "The technology appears to be—" Dorn hesitated. "A hybrid. Our own systems, but modified, improved. They have weapons specifically designed to target weaknesses in our defenses that we didn't know existed." Kraft turned sharply. "How? How could they have developed this technology without our knowledge?" Before Dorn could answer, the view screen flickered. The image of the burning Vorn cruiser was replaced by the face of a human, Admiral James Walker. Though visibly weakened from years of captivity, his eyes burned with triumph. "Emperor Krath," Walker said, his voice steady. "I thought it was time we spoke again, under different circumstances." Krath hissed in rage. "How dare you? Your rescue changes nothing. Humanity is still defeated. This attack is merely the last gasp of a dying species." Walker's lips curved into a small smile. "Is that what you believe? Then you haven't understood what's happening." He gestured, and the view widened to show he was standing on the bridge of a massive vessel. "Allow me to introduce Commander Alex Foster of the Nemesis, flagship of humanity's true fleet." The camera panned to show a human female in a uniform unlike any the Vorn had seen before. Behind her, humans worked at advanced control stations that hummed with power. "What you're witnessing, Emperor," Walker continued, "isn't a last desperate attack. It's the unveiling of Operation Lazarus, the real war beginning after years of preparation." On the other side of the transmission, Walker stood straight despite the pain that still coursed through his body. Foster had briefed him on everything that had happened during his captivity, and now it was his turn to reveal the truth to their enemy. "You never won the war, Krath," Walker said. "You merely defeated the forces we allowed you to see." "Impossible," Krath snarled. "We monitored your communications, your shipyards, your technology development. We knew everything about your military capabilities." Walker laughed softly. "You knew what we wanted you to know. 6 years before you attacked Earth, our leaders made a discovery that changed everything. We found your scout ships observing our system, and we realized conflict was inevitable." The Admiral stepped closer to the camera. "What you don't understand about humans, Emperor, is our capacity for sacrifice. When we realized we couldn't win a conventional war against your empire, we created an unconventional strategy." Foster stepped forward. "Operation Lazarus was never a contingency plan. It was our primary strategy. The war you thought you won was a calculated sacrifice." Walker nodded. "While you watched our visible military, our best scientists, engineers, and a significant portion of our military personnel disappeared from records, relocated to hidden facilities to build this shadow fleet. The forces that fought you served primarily as a distraction and as intelligence gatherers." On the Vorn Command Center, Dorn turned to Krath with growing horror. "The prisoners who broke under interrogation. The intelligence we gathered. All part of the deception," Walker confirmed, hearing Dorn's realization. "Every ship you destroyed, every base you captured, provided us with more data about your technology, tactics, and weaknesses." Foster added, "Earth itself was a sacrifice, a terrible one, but necessary to maintain the illusion of our defeat while our true fleet developed in secret." The shock on Krath's face shifted to fury. "You expect me to believe your people sacrificed their homeworld as part of some elaborate deception?" "Believe what you wish," Walker said calmly. "But the evidence is before you. Our dormant fleet is now fully activated, with technology specifically designed to counter yours. And this is just the beginning." In that moment, a technician rushed to Dorn, whispering urgently in his ear. The military advisor's face contorted with disbelief. "Emperor," Dorn said, his voice shaking, "we're detecting more human ships appearing throughout the system. Our long-range sensors indicate hundreds more emerging from hidden locations in nearby star systems." Krath stared at the screen where Walker and Foster stood side by side, the human admiral's words echoing in his mind. The Vorn had prided themselves on understanding their enemies, on knowing exactly what they faced before striking. They had studied humans for years before attacking, cataloging their strengths and weaknesses. Yet somehow, they had missed the most important truth about the species they thought they had conquered. Humans were willing to lose a war to win a greater victory. "This is just the first wave," Walker said quietly. "Operation Lazarus is fully awakened now, and it's coming for you." Admiral Walker stood on the observation deck of the Nemesis, watching as the dormant fleet, now fully awakened, moved into formation around Jupiter. His body was still healing from years of Vorn captivity, but his spirit had never been stronger. Through the massive viewport, he could see hundreds of ships gleaming against the darkness of space, their hulls bearing no nation's flag, but simply the new emblem of united humanity, a phoenix rising from ashes. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Commander Foster said, joining him at the viewport. 5 years of waiting, and now they're all awake. Walker nodded. "How many ships do we have now?" "Over 800 combat-ready vessels, with more being produced every day." The hidden fabrication systems continued working during dormancy, building according to the evolving AI designs. Behind them, The doors slid open as Lieutenant Wilson entered. "Admiral, Commander, we've received word from the resistance cells on Earth. The Vorn forces are in disarray. They're pulling back to defensive positions around their primary command centers." "And the human populations?" Walker asked. "Rising up everywhere. The sleeper agents activated the hidden weapons caches. People who lived under Vorn rule for 5 years are fighting back with everything they have." Walker smiled. The plan had always included this moment, when the visible attack from the Dormant fleet would signal to the oppressed populations that it was time to reveal their own hidden strength. "What about Emperor Krath?" Foster asked. "He's retreated to their flagship above Mars," Wilson reported. "Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a major counterattack." Walker turned from the viewport. "They still don't understand. They think this is just another battle, that if they defeat this fleet, they'd win the war." He shook his head. "They haven't grasped what Operation Lazarus truly means." The 3 officers moved to the tactical room, where a 3-dimensional map showed the position of all known foreign forces. 5 years of intelligence gathering by sleeper agents had given them unprecedented knowledge of enemy deployments. "The Vorn have called for reinforcements from their outer colonies," Foster noted, pointing to movement at the edges of the map. Walker studied the display, then pointed to a specific location. "They still believe their greatest advantage is that we don't know the location of their homeworld." Wilson looked up in surprise. "But we do." "Yes," Walker confirmed. "That was the final piece of Operation Lazarus, the reason I had to stay behind and allow myself to be captured. Our deep cover agents needed time to confirm the coordinates." He touched the map, zooming to a star system far from Earth, a place the secretive Vorn had kept hidden for centuries. "While I fed them false information about non-existent human weapons, our real agents were tracking their supply ships back to their point of origin." Foster's eyes widened as she understood. "So when we offer them terms of surrender, they'll know we can strike at their heart," Walker finished, "and that we have the means to do it." On the bridge of the Nemesis, Walker took the command chair. Around him, the crew, people who had sacrificed everything, who had gone into hiding and sleep while their world burned, waited for his orders. "Open a channel to Emperor Krath," he commanded. The view screen flickered, and the Vorn leader appeared. His once arrogant posture was gone, replaced by barely contained fury. "Have you called to gloat, Admiral?" Krath demanded. "I've called to offer terms," Walker replied calmly. "Terms?" Krath laughed harshly. "You've won a few battles, not the war. My empire spans dozens of systems. This rebellion will be crushed." Walker leaned forward. "Before you reject our offer, Emperor, you should know that we've located your homeworld." The shock that passed across Krath's alien features confirmed what Walker already knew. This was the Vorn's most closely guarded secret, the foundation of their security strategy. "Impossible," Krath whispered. "The same way we built this fleet while you thought you were winning the war," Walker said. "Patience, planning, sacrifice." He paused. "We're transmitting coordinates to prove we know exactly where it is." Off-screen, Walker could see the moment when Dorn received the transmission, his reaction telling Walker they had indeed found the correct location. "These are our terms," Walker continued. "Complete withdrawal from all human territories, return of all human prisoners, reparations for the damage done to Earth and our colonies." "And if I refuse?" Krath asked, but his voice lacked conviction. "Then Operation Lazarus enters its final phase," Walker said simply, "and your homeworld experiences what Earth endured." Across the solar system and beyond, liberated humans emerged from hiding. Resistance fighters revealed themselves on every occupied planet and moon. On Earth, people looked up to see not Vorn ships of conquest, but human vessels of liberation filling the sky. Walker stood on the bridge, surrounded by the crew that represented humanity's greatest gambit, a people who had sacrificed their present for a future they might never see, a species that had learned the hardest lesson. Sometimes you must lose everything to win. "You thought humanity was defeated," Walker said to Krath as the Emperor considered the terms. But we were just beginning to fight. Behind the nemesis, the Dormant fleet, now fully awakened and growing stronger each day, stood ready to enforce humanity's terms, or, if necessary, to carry the war to the enemy's home. Operation Lazarus, named for one who rose from the dead, had fulfilled its purpose. Humanity had returned from the abyss, stronger than ever before.